Hello, gamers, and it's time for another episode of Sean's Picks of the Week. This is where I choose a theme and then take the next 5 days and cover that theme in terms of games that fit it. This week's theme is Dreams of Diesel. This was inspired by Stephen Stormwell Hughes in the recent release of his Frozen Skies, which we'll get to for the Friday pick. But let's open up with Wild Skies Europa Tempest. This one's done by Brandon K. Atten and Matthew Orr. One of my favorite subgenres of fiction in gaming is dieselpunk, shiny yet grimy, oil-spattering engines of technical wonder in an age of diesel, early rocketry, advanced weapons of war, and audacious engineering used for fantastic purposes. It's nowhere near the level of popularity of the progenitor cyberpunk or the belovedly stylish steampunk, but there's a lot of gold and diamonds to mine there. So let's kick off Dreams of Diesel Week with one of the more prevalent elements of the form, fantastic flying machines doing battle over the skies of a very different world full of pulp adventure and sky pirates. This is a thing. This is just a thing. There was, there was a miniatures game. I actually can't remember the name of it right now, but it was Crimson Skies. That's it. Yeah, and I've even got some of those miniatures. So that was a huge influence on dieselpunk. But there's also diesel-driven mecha and high-tech Nazis and just all kinds of stuff that also fit that. God, what was that? There was that movie. I can't believe I'm forgetting the movie, but you guys know which one I'm talking about. With the Sky Pirates and everything like that. Anyway, Wild Skies Europa Tempest presents an anthropomorphic Earth. So this one has both dieselpunk and anthropomorphs, or furries for some. It's one recovering from an aftermath of the Great War. Very common theme also. Most of these are post-World War I. Some are post-World War II, although a lot of them sort of involve World War II developing in a different way. And adapting to the new technologies evolving for the mad war geniuses of the time. This one features things like a complete new original rule system allowing all players to focus on the stories and adventure they want to be a part of, and which rewards accuracy, not just success. A robust character creation process giving players complete control in choosing from 40 animal types, dozens of animal abilities, 20 careers, and over 80 skill specialties. So this is a very huge pick list kind of character building thing. There's the moral compass, which integrates a character's personal motivations with rewards of their own choosing. Combat involving everything from dogfights to fisticuffs and going. So that's the first one. Again, Wild Skies, Europa Tempest. Of course, that banner logo there kind of tells us that there's an intention for a whole bunch more. And I don't know, something about the bulldog with the crazy, uniform there and the Tommy gun. That's just kind of cool. Moving on to Warbirds, another role-playing game that clearly focuses on the flying machine aspects of it. We fly on through Dreams of Diesel Week, celebrating the very cool genre of dieselpunk with Warbirds, as we saw yesterday. Fantastic flying machines and daring pilots are a hallmark of this genre. Extra attention is paid to the rules for aerial combat in this one, providing equal parts roleplay and tactical gameplay. There's a video. If you click on through the link, you'll get to the sales page for it, and there's a YouTube video that gets into how they do air combat. Alternate history is another hallmark of the genre, and you get that aplenty here, joining special pilot guilds and competing for fame, fortune, and exciting film contracts. So there's a whole, becoming a star of the world through combat kind of thing there. Welcome to the floating islands of Azure. Here among the dazzling fragments of the Caribbean islands is where your elite fighter pilot will make their mark on the world. So interesting little extra part there with the whole Caribbean kind of thing. Next, we get into Akroydiesel, the Akroydiesel Age. Some interesting art choices there, including there's that image there that still kind of calls back to a little dieselpunk, doesn't it? Back to steampunk, I should say. That's a very steampunk-esque kind of thing there. We continue our exploration of Dreams of Diesel with this post-apocalyptic setting, which foresees a rebuilt world featuring anachronistic and futuristic tech combined alongside mutants and monsters. The conflicts of the nations that rose from the ashes is one of blood and oil, a hallmark of dieselpunk. The addition of horror, noir, and other elements allow for some very interesting mashups, story opportunities, and Akroydiesel Age. So there's a whole thing about vehicles. This one does get into the horror thing. So there's this element called Test Your Psyche, a robust psychological health system tantamount to the physical one in depth, healing options, and repercussions rather than roll or +1 madness. So they're obviously kind of poking a little bit at Cthulhu when they talk about that. So they want to do diesel punk, but they're also doing horror. So there's a whole bunch else going on there. Definitely one you want to check out for something a little different in the genre space. Next, Age of Steel, which the cover alone is impressive. I'm loving that. There's this mech kind of storming down this Chicagoland kind of alleyway, and you got a lot going on there. This definitely feels like gangster meets diesel punk kind of thing going on. As we roll on through, there's also, by the way, at this point, Christmas in July has kicked off. So if you're listening to this relatively soon after I've released it, you want to get over to Drive Through RPG and check out Christmas in July, because everything that's in the sale, and there's a lot of it, is 25% off currently. So Age of Steel is one of those products. This one is an alt-history, alt-world concept, and like most diesel punk stuff, it starts after the Great War and deals with the social, political, and technological aspects of a world that had everything changed by war. Also a hallmark of diesel punk, the tech took some cool and stylish turns, and there's also a heavy dose of pure pulp adventure to liven things up. This one is one of my favorites in the list. That there's a feel to it that seems like it gets right at what I look at when I'm thinking about diesel punk. It's set in the world of Nereus. It's a world not unlike our own in the first few decades of the 20th century. Nereus has just emerged from its first global conflict, the Great War, in which hundreds of thousands of men and women died in the mud and horror of the trenches. Technology in Nereus has taken a slightly different route to our own world. Personal mecha powered by diesel engines are used for numerous applications, from war to common labor. Huge airships ply the airways. Bipedal automa act as servants for the rich and gadgeteer. Inventors construct homemade ray guns in their basement laboratories. Like I said, this one just pushes all the buttons for what I consider diesel punk. Then finally, as I said, this whole week was inspired by my friend Stephen Hughes, aka Stormwell, and his Frozen Skies release. This one is a Savage Worlds diesel punk offering. So Savage this one's for you to add diesel punk to your Savage library. He did all the legwork for me, by the way. So big shout out to Stephen and all these other products. He's the one that went and found them and pointed them out to me when I said, hey man, if you did the research when you were doing Frozen Skies, if you have other products, kind of help me shortcut to find them. And he did, flat out. This was his list that he submitted to me, and so all credit to him for that. And this is his shout out to his fellow diesel punk fans who are making cool stuff. So this is a Savage World-driven retro tech fantasy achievement, which gets the final spotlight. There's advanced aerial combat rules for Savage fans, and that's in showcase here. There's also a complete world with some rich details that set it apart from other diesel punk offerings. Face the Sky Pirates of Darmonica and find your path to glory. So this is got a little bit of a frozen wasteland aspect to it as well. This carve your own place in the wild blue yonder with rules for building your own aircraft and an alternative take on air combat. Additionally, new edges, hindrances, gear, and a different take on weird science can be found within the pages of this book. So there is our Dreams of Diesel week. And as always, I appreciate your tuning in and enjoying the theme. Let me know what you think. Suggest other themes in the comments below. Like the page, like the channel, and we'll see you next week. Game on!